Antonio, what do you think about Cesar Millan?
Okay, so I get this question a lot, and I have to say, like, I don't have any problems with Cesar Millan. I think that for the time when he was doing what he was doing on television, I think for what it was, I think it served its purpose. As somebody who has a little bit of knowledge about how television works and production of television shows, I understand that the producers were intentionally creating this dramatic effect, which they were provoking dogs, and I've seen that. As far as him as an individual, I don't really know him that well. I think that I will say this on a positive note. There are a couple of things. I'll give my pros and cons. On a positive note, I think he brought a large attention to dog training, and I think that he's also a contributor to why people started to see the differences in the use of positive reinforcement and the use of punishment and things like that. And then now you have this balanced trainer, right? If it wasn't for him and then the people that were shouting against him, right, we wouldn't really have what we have now. I think he brought a lot of attention to dog training, and I think that's amazing. On the other end, I think at the time, I don't know about what he does now because I really don't follow anybody else, but I think that at the time he was misguiding people with dominance and painting dogs as either needing to be submissive, and that they were either dominant or submissive, because that's not at all the way that dogs are. So I don't dislike him or anything like that. And it's funny because people compare me to him. Like, I've had people say things to me like, oh, you're like the next Cesar Millan, or hey, you're like the dog whisperer. Or here's the funny thing. I've had people compare me to Cesar Millan in a positive way, and I've had people compare me to Cesar Millan in a negative way. Yeah, and so it's just funny. It's just the perspective of the individual, you know what I mean? And so for me, I look at him like somebody who really helped shine a light on dog training. And for that, I'm grateful, because I feel like that's part of why I do what I do now. And but I also feel like it's my duty as somebody who's now in this profession and somebody who has a voice to start to show people the truth, the reality of what a relationship looks like, and how we can effectively grow that, and we can still be leaders without the negativity that surrounds leadership. You know what I'm saying? So, so for that, like, I'll say thank you to Cesar Millan. So, because it really puts me on a mission to help spread the word about real.
Claro. Yeah. Right.
So, maybe some people tell you train like Cesar Millan, so you do the alpha roll.
Yeah, no, I don't do the alpha roll. I do that. My father being that's a Hispanic thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. My father, whenever he wanted you to stop talking, hey, right? So if I do that, that's not a Cesar Millan thing. That's Antonio Diaz.
I saw your explanation about the pet corrector.
Oh yeah, Cesar Millan.
How do you live with Cesar Millan?
When I was playing around with that thing and I first heard it, it just reminded me of watching the Dog Whisperer back in the day.
Right.
So I like to add a little bit of my humor into my videos sometimes.
Yeah.
So that wasn't like a low blow at him. That was just me cracking a joke. So
okay.
Yeah.
Creo que igual lo han de relacionar a él con Cesar Millan por la palabra líder también.
I had a discussion with somebody who purely positive trainer, and he told me that he was like, I hate your name, right? We were having a conversation. I'm like, why? He said, because, right? He goes, because, because of the way he thinks that what it means, right? And I said, but it doesn't mean that. It's not about that. He goes, I know. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Let me make some sense out of this. I said, what do you call a group of dogs? He said, a pack. I'm like, okay, that's what you call them, right? And I want to be the teacher, the guiding force of that pack. So I am the leader of the pack. Like, it makes sense. I want to be a leader, and they're a pack of dogs. So it has nothing to do with alpha roles and anything like that. So
I always explain that to people. Creo, Carlos, tú también lo vas a explicar de alguna forma. Iván, y tú también. When I talk about leadership, it's like yeah, I have a boss in my job, my office, that is a really nice person, that is always like super fun and super good with their employees and everything, but he's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
O sea, in the end, mi jefe es mi líder. He's the one that says what I have to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
And
Your mom
earlier, I
is.
know,
Your
I
mom.
mean,
yeah,
Nuestra
teachers.
mamá. Teachers
So
también. Mhm.
earlier, I heard Vanessa say that, well, I should say, Vanessa, I heard you say that I believe you said that like humans and dogs are a lot alike. And I think you were referring to behaviorally because you were talking about your kids
mhm.
or your child, right? And so I compare kids to dogs all the time, and I use them to help people understand that just
Mhm.
like when you're raising a child, you want to teach them to say please and to say thank you. It's the same
Mhm.
way you want to raise your dog to sit before they get petted, right? Rather than jumping, or to ask
Mhm.
permission to go to their friend's house, right? That's, you want your kid, you don't want your kid just walking out of the door. So you want to teach them there's a boundary. You can't just walk out of the front door and go to the neighbor's house just because you're friends. Same thing with a dog. Just because they hang out with the neighbor's dog next door doesn't mean they can run out of the front door whenever it's open. So it's our responsibility to provide that information to the dog, and that's done through leadership,
Right.
right? Because if you're not leading, then what are they learning from you if you're not intentionally leading them? You know what I'm saying? So